The Zephyrian Empire had ruled the outer sectors of the galaxy for centuries. Their fleets were vast, their weapons unmatched, and their colonies stretched across countless star systems. No civilization had ever resisted them for long. The Zephyrians believed they understood the galaxy completely, its politics, its threats, its weak species. That is why the arrival of the human fleet was so perplexing. It began with the scouts. Small, fast vessels had detected movement in a quiet sector near the edge of Zephyrian space. The scouts reported strange readings, ships traveling together in formations the Zephyrians had never seen. Even more puzzling, their energy signatures were modest, almost primitive compared to Zephyrian technology. They were slow in firepower, but there were many of them, moving with a precision that suggested planning, training, and intelligence. Admiral Kryn, a veteran of countless campaigns, studied the reports. He had conquered dozens of planets, crushed rebellions, and captured fleets much larger than his own. Yet there was something different about this data. "They are small," he said to his officers, "but organized. That is unusual. I have seen many weak fleets, but none that move together like this." The officers murmured in agreement, though none admitted their concern. In Zephyrian culture, fear was a weakness, and the Empire's strength had always been confidence. Kryn frowned. "Prepare the fleet. I want full scanners on them and open communications. Let's see what these humans want." The first contact came quickly. The human ships, small and sleek, approached Zephyrian space calmly. They did not hide. They did not attack. They simply came. Kryn's fleet gathered in formation, weapons ready. The humans responded to hails not with words, but with a gesture. They smiled. It was simple, a human smile, but it carried no fear, no threat, no challenge, just a smile. The Zephyrians found it unsettling. Their species communicated with authority, signals, and threats. To smile at an overwhelming military force was bizarre. "Are they mocking us?" an officer whispered. Kryn shook his head. "I do not know. That is why we must observe first." The humans held formation as Zephyrian diplomats attempted to communicate. Messages were sent. "Leave this space, turn back, or face destruction." The humans only smiled. At first, the Zephyrians thought it was foolishness. Then, curiosity. Finally, unease. Smiling, they realized, was not fear. It was confidence. And confidence in the face of the Empire was rare. Kryn ordered the first inspection ships forward. Small scout vessels moved in to identify the humans' technology. To the Zephyrian surprise, the human ships were not as advanced in raw power. Their weapons were lighter, their shields thinner, and their engines slower. Yet the humans moved with incredible coordination, avoiding scans, dodging minor attacks, and staying perfectly in formation. "Impressive," Kryn admitted to himself. "They have thought this through. They are not just strong, they are clever." The first skirmish happened near a small, uninhabited planet. A Zephyrian ship moved in to intimidate the humans. Its cannons glowed with power enough to destroy any small vessel. The humans did not panic. Instead, they shifted position, creating a formation that the Zephyrians could not predict. The first salvo fired by the humans struck the attacking ship in a weak point Kryn's scanners had not detected. The ship was disabled, but no humans were harmed. When Zephyrian forces attempted to retaliate, the humans moved as if one mind guided them. Every attack was countered with a feint, every trap anticipated. Kryn watched in silence, amazed. "They are different," he said. Later, the humans docked with the disabled ship. Zephyrian soldiers expected violence, perhaps surrender demands or even sabotage. Instead, they were greeted by humans who tended to the wounded and repaired what they could. And yes, they smiled. "Why do they smile?" a junior officer asked. Kryn did not answer. He could not. He did not know. Reports from other sectors came in. Every system the humans approached showed the same pattern. No aggression unless forced, incredible coordination, and a calm, confident smile in the face of threat. The humans were like nothing the Xiphorians had ever faced. Back on Xiphorian home space, the Council of Admirals convened. Screens showed hundreds of human ships moving like a living organism. The Council debated. Some argued that the humans were weak and that this was a fluke. Others warned that intelligence combined with courage could be more dangerous than any weapon. Kryn stood quietly, studying the fleet on the screen. He noticed the humans' formations changed subtly when Xiphorian forces approached. It was as if the humans could anticipate movement. He realized something frightening. The humans were not just fighting. They were thinking in ways the Xiphorians could not predict. In the midst of debate, a small human vessel approached the Xiphorian capital's orbit. It carried no weapons, no threats. Just one human representative, and, of course, a smile. The representative's message was simple. We come in peace. We fight only to protect ourselves and others. We do not seek conquest, but we will defend what is right. The council erupted in disbelief. Many laughed at the words, others scowled. Kryn remained silent. He studied the human carefully. There was truth in the words, and strength in the calm posture. There was no arrogance, there was no fear, there was only humanity. For days, scouts tried to find weakness. There was none. Every human tactic was clever, every movement deliberate. Even their smiles became unnerving. They smiled when their fleet was surrounded, when the Xiphorians fired, even when their ships were lightly damaged. Smiles that carried defiance, courage, and hope. Kryn walked the corridors of his flagship, thinking. He remembered all the battles he had fought. Every opponent had fear. Every opponent had doubt. Every opponent could be broken with enough force. Humans were different. They did not break. They did not fear. They simply smiled. Finally, Kryn called a meeting with his top advisors. "Prepare the fleet," he said. "We will see what they are capable of. But be warned, this is no ordinary enemy. They are not weak. They are clever, brave, and united in ways I cannot yet measure. Treat them carefully." The humans, meanwhile, continued their slow, deliberate advance through Xiphorian space. They helped local colonies, repaired damaged ships, and occasionally stopped to rescue small fleets under attack from rogue pirates. Each time, they smiled. Each time, they surprised Xiphorian intelligence with strategy that seemed impossible. The first part of the confrontation had ended, but the real story was only beginning. The humans were not just a fleet. They were a symbol of courage, unity, and hope. And the Xiphorians, for the first time in centuries, felt uncertain. Kryn gazed at the screen showing human ships moving as one. His mind repeated the same thought over and over. They smile, even now. Why do they smile? The question haunted him because he feared the answer. The humans' strength did not lie in weapons. It lay in something far deeper, something Xiphorians had never learned to understand, the human spirit. And in the coming days, that spirit would change the balance of power in the galaxy forever. The humans moved steadily through Xiphorian space, small ships forming fleets that seemed fragile at first glance. Yet every movement was precise, every formation calculated. To the Xiphorian Empire, which had faced countless species and conquered most of them, this was unusual. Normally, enemies would flee, negotiate, or surrender. But these humans? They smiled, even when facing fleets far larger than their own. Admiral Kryn prepared his forces carefully. He commanded a fleet larger than anything humans had yet shown. His weapons were powerful, his ships fast, his soldiers experienced. He expected victory to be swift. He did not expect confusion. The first full battle occurred near the Xiphorian-controlled planet of Ceron 4, a mining world with vast resources. Xiphorian intelligence indicated that a human fleet had moved into orbit around the planet, possibly threatening local colonies. Kryn assembled a strike group of 12 capital ships, each bristling with weapons that could destroy the human fleet in moments. As the Xiphorian fleet moved into formation, the humans did not retreat. Instead, they spread their ships across the orbit, forming an unexpected pattern. It looked chaotic at first, but it was anything but. The humans had anticipated the Empire's typical maneuvers. Their formation was a trap, not for destruction, but for observation. The first shots came from Xiphorian capital ships. Beams of energy cut through space toward human ships. Observers expected massive human losses. Instead, the humans executed something the Xiphorians had never seen, a series of synchronized evasive moves that caused nearly every shot to miss. Their ships twisted and darted through space like a school of fish, coordinated perfectly, as if a single mind guided them. "They are adapting," said Kryn, his voice low. "Every maneuver we try, they respond before we finish. How is this possible?" In the command bridge, human Captain Alara stood calmly, a smile playing on her lips. She did not fear the overwhelming enemy. Her crew did not panic. They had trained for this, yes, but more importantly, they trusted one another completely. "Prepare Phase 2, she said softly. "Focus on splitting their attention. Use the outer wings to distract while the center moves to control the orbit." The humans' strategy unfolded perfectly. Xiphorian ships tried to block the human fleet, but each move was countered. One ship approached from the left. A small human detachment darted forward, drawing it off course. Another Xiphorian vessel attempted to flank them. Two human ships split and blocked the attack, then rejoined the main formation. The Xiphorian commanders were growing frustrated. They had superior firepower, but humans moved unpredictably. Their attacks were clever, not overwhelming. Instead of trying to destroy, humans exploited weakness and protected one another. Every ship that was hit was rescued quickly, its crew safe, its technology preserved. "They are not just fighting," Kryn muttered. "They are teaching us something. They fight differently." As the skirmish continued, small human craft approached Xiphorian boarding vessels that were attempting to capture disabled ships. To the surprise of Xiphorian soldiers, humans did not attack aggressively. They disabled weapon systems, rescued crews, and returned ships to operational status, and they smiled the whole time. "It is unnerving," one Xiphorian officer admitted. "They could destroy us all if they wanted, but they choose not to." Captain Alara communicated with her fleet. "Remember, we are here to defend, not to conquer. Strike only when necessary. Protect your comrades. Watch for openings." Her orders were obeyed without hesitation. The human fleet moved with a unity the Xiphorians could not comprehend. They coordinated perfectly, each ship anticipating the other's movements, each crew member trusting the next. It was not technology alone that gave them strength. It was something far more powerful: human spirit. Hours passed. The Xiphorian fleet had inflicted damage on several human ships, but losses were minor. Every time a ship was hit, humans repaired it, retreated temporarily, then returned. Meanwhile, Xiphorian ships were increasingly scattered. Their attacks became disorganized as humans drew them into traps that required the Xiphorians to split forces, exposing weak points elsewhere. At one point, Kryn ordered a direct assault on the human command ship, expecting to disable it immediately. The humans anticipated this. Smaller vessels darted in front of the command ship, creating shields and drawing Xiphorian fire away. The command ship itself moved with such precision that every Xiphorian blast missed by meters. Finally, one Xiphorian cruiser, overconfident and attempting to ram the human command ship, became trapped in a human formation. Humans approached but did not fire. Instead, they boarded the vessel. Xiphorian soldiers prepared for battle, expecting death. But the humans simply assisted the crew, repaired critical systems, and left a message. We fight to protect. We do not destroy without reason. Think carefully before you harm others. Kryn watched this with disbelief. He had fought countless species, but none acted with such restraint and purpose. The humans' calm smiles, their courage under overwhelming force, and their loyalty to one another made Xiphorian tactics almost useless. Meanwhile, civilian worlds near the conflict zone began to notice the humans. Colonists reported that human ships helped local miners, repaired damaged stations, and even stopped natural disasters when energy shields were deployed. The Xiphorians were used to fear and submission. Humans brought hope and protection instead. In the Xiphorian Council, debates became heated. Some admirals wanted to escalate attacks, believing that overwhelming force would finally destroy the humans. Others argued that these humans were unlike any enemy before. Force alone cannot defeat them, one said. They adapt, they cooperate, they endure. Something in them is different, something we do not understand. Kryn remained silent, thinking. He had begun to see the truth. Humans were not stronger in firepower. They were not faster. They were smarter, braver, and more united than the Xiphorians had ever expected. By the end of the day, the human fleet had forced the Xiphorian forces to retreat temporarily. No humans had been lost permanently, though several ships had sustained minor damage. Xiphorian losses were far greater. More importantly, the humans' calm, confident smiles had unnerved the enemy in ways weapons never could. That night, Captain Alara walked the deck of her command ship, looking at the stars. Her crew was tired but unbroken. "They expected us to fear them," she said softly. "They do not understand what humans can endure and why we fight." Below deck, engineers repaired weapons and shields, medics tended the wounded, and soldiers laughed quietly, sharing stories from the battle. There was no fear, only determination and trust. Back on Xiphorian homeworlds, Kryn reported to the Emperor. He spoke carefully, choosing words that would not anger superiors, but would warn them of the unusual situation. "The humans are not just a fleet," he said. "They are a force unlike any we have faced. Their strength lies in courage, unity, and an unexpected intelligence. And they smile, even in the face of overwhelming power." The Emperor frowned. No other species had dared such behavior. The humans' simple smiles were almost unbearable to him. They showed no fear, no hatred, no desire for conquest, just confidence. Kryn concluded his report with one thought that haunted him. If humans can endure this and fight like this, what else might they do? How far can they go? Meanwhile, the humans continued their mission. They did not gloat over victories. They did not celebrate destruction. Every action was purposeful, protective, and guided by an unshakable sense of morality. And they smiled. Always they smiled, even when surrounded, even when outnumbered, even when danger threatened their lives. The Battle of Seran IV was over. The humans had won, but not by firepower. They had won through strategy, courage, loyalty, and hope. The Xiphorians retreated, confused and wary. They had faced the strongest species in their history, and the humans had outsmarted them without cruelty, without arrogance, and without fear. Kryn stared at the stars where the human fleet had disappeared. He understood one truth clearly. The humans were not like any enemy the Xiphorian Empire had faced before. And their smiles would haunt him for the rest of his life. The humans were coming, and the galaxy would never be the same. After the battle near Seran IV, the Xiphorian Empire found itself facing a dilemma. The humans had survived overwhelming odds, outmaneuvered powerful fleets, and refused to strike for conquest. Instead, they had protected life, repaired damage, and moved with unity and purpose. For Zephyrians, who measured power in destruction, this was both baffling and threatening. Admiral Kryn returned to the Empire's capital, where he presented a detailed report to the Imperial Council. Holoscreens glowed with images of human ships, maps of maneuvers, and recordings of their victories. "They do not fight as we fight," Kryn explained. "They do not fear death. They adapt quickly. They coordinate perfectly. They help one another, and they smile, even in the midst of battle." A senior counselor scoffed. "They are clever, yes, but they are weak. We have thousands of ships ready. They cannot hold out forever." Kryn shook his head. "It is not strength or weapons alone that make them dangerous. It is their mindset. They do not act for personal gain, fear, or hatred. Their purpose is unity and protection. That makes them unpredictable. That makes them strong." The council debated for hours. Some argued for total annihilation, believing the humans' morality made them vulnerable. Others warned that these humans represented something Zephyrians had never encountered: strength rooted in values, not power alone. Meanwhile, Captain Elara's human fleet moved closer to the frontier of Zephyrian space. She had received reports of settlements threatened by natural disasters, asteroid storms, radiation flares, and energy surges. Where others might have ignored these worlds, humans acted. Small ships deployed energy shields, rescued colonists, and repaired critical infrastructure. And, as always, the humans smiled. Lieutenant Dara observed the operations. "Captain, every time we intervene, the locals look at us like we are gods," she said. Elara smiled. "We are not gods, Dara. We are humans. We help because it is the right thing to do. That is all." It was that simple. Humanity's power was not in weapons or numbers. It was in morality, courage, and cooperation. Humans worked together seamlessly, their decisions guided by empathy as much as strategy. Where the Zephyrians saw conflict, humans saw opportunity to protect and inspire. Word of human deeds spread across Zephyrian-controlled sectors. Colonists who had once lived in fear began to talk of the strange fleet that saved lives instead of taking them. Zephyrian patrols returned with reports of humans aiding miners under pirate attack, repairing failing life support systems on remote stations, and guiding lost travelers through hazardous space. Kryn studied these reports with growing unease. He had expected enemies to flee, surrender, or be defeated. Humans did none of these. Instead, they empowered others, even Zephyrians, sometimes preventing casualties among enemy soldiers. One day, he received a communication from the humans themselves. It was simple. "We fight only when necessary. We protect life, and we teach respect. We do not seek conquest, but we will stand against injustice wherever it appears." The message unnerved Kryn. His fleet had faced threats, spies, rebels, and invaders. None had ever approached with such clarity of purpose and restraint. He realized that the human's strength was more than strategy. It was principle. In response, the Zephyrian Council decided to study human behavior directly. Small observation teams disguised as survey vessels approached human fleets. They recorded maneuvers, intercepted communications, and even observed interactions among humans. What they saw astonished them. Humans worked as if one mind guided them, each crew member anticipating the actions of the others without hesitation. They took risks not recklessly, but strategically. They defended weaker ships, shared resources, and smiled at challenges rather than fearing them. Admiral Kryn observed the data. It is not fear that drives them. It is hope and unity. We cannot break that with weapons. We cannot divide them with force. It is something beyond our understanding. To understand the humans more fully, Kryn agreed to a formal meeting under a neutral zone near the edge of Zephyrian space. Captain Alara represented the humans, and the meeting was tense. Zephyrian delegates arrived expecting defiance, threats, or manipulation. Instead, they found calm, polite humans who greeted them with smiles. "Welcome," Alara said. "We are here to talk, not fight. We want to understand each other and prevent unnecessary conflict." The Zephyrians were suspicious. Smiles in their culture were rarely sincere. But humans spoke plainly. "We do not seek conquest," Alara continued. "We defend, we protect, and we help. If our actions inspire others, that is a side effect, not the goal. We fight to preserve life and freedom, not for power or fear." Kryn listened, his mind turning over her words. Every human action he had witnessed matched this philosophy. And yet, in a way that defied logic, the human's strength grew from restraint, morality, and courage. The humans shared examples, fleets working together to rescue stranded ships, protecting colonies from natural disasters, and defending the weak against pirates or rogue forces. Every story was true, every action deliberate, every outcome guided by unity. One of the Zephyrian counselors asked, "Do you not fear us? Our fleets could destroy yours in moments." Alara smiled, the same calm smile that had unnerved so many before. "We do not fear, because we do not fight for fear. We fight for purpose. You may have power, but that does not make you right. We are confident because we know what we stand for." The council struggled to comprehend this. To the Zephyrians, victory was everything. Strength, weapons, and fear of defeat defined civilization. But the humans showed that courage, unity, and hope could outmatch force without destruction. Kryn reflected on the implications. "They are teaching us something," he said quietly to a trusted aide. "Strength is not just power. It is spirit, courage, and morality. That is why they smile. That is why we cannot break them." The humans returned to their fleet after the meeting, moving toward Zephyrian-controlled sectors that faced instability. Pirates threatened trading routes, natural disasters endangered colonies, and corrupt officials oppressed the weak. Humans intervened quietly but effectively, solving problems without seeking glory. Observers from the Zephyrian Empire began to notice a pattern. Human intervention did not just prevent disaster, it inspired cooperation. Colonists, even some Zephyrians, began working together to rebuild damaged areas. Human influence spread not through domination, but through example and protection. Back on the human flagship, Alara spoke with her officers. "Our strength is not in weapons," she said. "It is in what we inspire in others. We protect life, we trust each other, and we smile because fear accomplishes nothing. Courage, unity, and hope accomplish everything." The message of humanity, as simple as it seemed, began to spread through the Zephyrian Empire itself. Soldiers whispered about humans saving lives, engineers marveled at their tactics, and some began questioning the Empire's methods. Could the Zephyrians continue to dominate using fear and force when an entire species showed strength through courage, morality, and unity? Kryn pondered this as he reviewed the latest reports. He had always believed victory required power and intimidation. Now he wondered if there was a different kind of strength, a strength humans wielded naturally, and it terrified him. Meanwhile, humans continued their peaceful advances. Each day brought small victories, lives saved, systems stabilized, colonies strengthened. Each day, humans smiled in the face of adversity, showing Zephyrians and the galaxy that fearlessness combined with morality could change outcomes in ways no weapon could. And the Zephyrians, who had faced countless enemies, realized that the humans were not just clever or brave, they were a new standard of strength. the kind that did not rely on destruction but on unity, courage, and hope. The humans' presence in the galaxy was no longer a curiosity. It was a challenge to the Empire itself. The question now was not whether the humans could be defeated, but whether the Xiphorians could understand them before it was too late. In the silent expanse of space, human ships glided forward, always calm, always ready, always smiling. And in every system they passed, they left a message of hope, courage, and unity, quietly reshaping the galaxy without violence, without arrogance, but with the undeniable power of humanity itself. The Empire had faced countless foes. None had smiled in the face of overwhelming force. None had inspired hope instead of fear. And none had taught the Xiphorians that true strength is not measured in weapons or fleets, but in courage, morality, and the unity of a people. The humans had survived. They had taught lessons that the Xiphorians could not ignore. And in the quiet moments between battles, their smiles became symbols, not of weakness, but of a power that the galaxy had never seen before. The stage was set. The humans were ready, the Xiphorians were uneasy, and the galaxy waited to see how the clash of ideals would unfold. The humans had moved steadily through Xiphorian space for months. Their presence was felt on every frontier, in every colony, and in every sector where oppression, danger, or disaster threatened. Yet they did not conquer. They did not plunder. They did not spread fear. They protected, repaired, and inspired. The Xiphorian Empire could no longer ignore them. Admiral Kryn's fleet had regrouped near the edge of human-controlled space. For the first time, the Empire was preparing a full-scale offensive, bringing together the largest fleet ever assembled in their history. Over 100 capital ships, thousands of smaller craft, and millions of soldiers ready to overwhelm the humans completely. Kryn studied the fleet on his command bridge. They are clever, yes, he said. They adapt. They endure. They fight differently. But this is too many ships for them to withstand. Prepare the fleet. We strike tomorrow. Yet even as plans were made, Kryn could not ignore the humans' record. Despite overwhelming odds, they had survived and thrived, saving lives and inspiring courage wherever they went, and always they had smiled. Captain Ilara had anticipated the Empire's response. From her flagship, she studied reports of Xiphorian movements. They will come in force, she told her officers. They have numbers, but we have unity. They have weapons, but we have courage. And we have each other. Remember, we fight to protect. Nothing else matters. Her crew nodded. Every human in the fleet understood their purpose. They had trained for this, but more importantly, they trusted one another completely. That trust was their strength. That trust allowed them to act calmly, even when facing impossible odds. The next day, the human and Xiphorian fleets met above the planet of Sarnath 9, a neutral world with vast strategic importance. Xiphorian weapons fired first, energy beams slicing through space toward the human formation. Observers expected human losses. Instead, the humans executed a series of perfectly coordinated maneuvers. Their ships weaved, dodged, and countered in ways the Xiphorians could not predict. Admiral Kryn watched in disbelief. They adapt instantly, anticipate every move. How? Ilara's voice was calm on the bridge. Focus on unity, not fear. Protect each other. We move as one. The battle raged across the stars. Xiphorian weapons were powerful, but humans used the environment, the terrain of space itself, and cooperation to their advantage. Small craft protected larger vessels. Boarding parties were ready not to destroy, but to disable and rescue. Every human action demonstrated strategy and restraint. Xiphorian soldiers grew frustrated. Every plan to overwhelm the humans failed. Every assault was countered with clever tactics. Their ships were disabled or misdirected, but humans never attacked with unnecessary force. Even when cornered, humans acted with morality as well as skill. And through every maneuver, every counterattack, every life-saving action, humans smiled. "It is maddening," an officer shouted. "They should fear us. They should panic." Kryn did not answer. He could not. He watched as human ships saved civilians on nearby stations, even while under fire. They repaired damaged craft, rescued injured colonists, and guided trapped traders to safety. The humans' strength lay not in weapons, but in their courage, unity, and care for others. Midway through the battle, a small human detachment approached a critical Xiphorian capital ship. Xiphorian crews expected a full assault. Instead, the humans disabled weapon systems, repaired minor internal damage, and left a simple message on the ship's main console. "We do not fight to destroy. We fight to protect. Learn from this, or suffer the consequences of misunderstanding true strength." The message spread quickly through the Xiphorian fleet. Soldiers whispered to one another, unsure what to make of it. These humans could have destroyed them. They had the chance. Yet they chose restraint, protection, and teaching over vengeance. By the end of the first day, Xiphorian losses were staggering. Human losses were minimal. And more importantly, the humans' calm, confident smiles had shaken the Empire. Xiphorian admirals had never faced an enemy that did not fear or hate them, an enemy that inspired hope rather than fear. That night, Kryn walked the empty corridors of his flagship. The weight of his thoughts pressed on him. He had always believed victory meant overwhelming force, power, intimidation, and strategy. Yet here were humans, showing him a different kind of strength, one rooted in morality, courage, unity, and hope. Back on her ship, Alara addressed her fleet. "Tomorrow may be difficult," she said, "but remember why we fight. Protect life, protect each other, and never let fear guide your actions. Courage, unity, and hope will see us through." The next day, the Xiphorians launched their largest assault yet. Their ships moved in perfect formation, weapons charged to maximum, soldiers ready to board or destroy every human vessel. But humans had prepared as well. Smaller craft darted into flanking positions, creating layers of defense. Shields were coordinated to protect the fleet. Every ship had a clear role. Every crew member knew exactly what to do. The Xiphorians fired relentlessly. Energy beams tore through space, cutting down minor vessels. Yet human crews remained calm. They rescued ships that were damaged, repaired shields mid-battle, and countered attacks with clever maneuvers that left the Xiphorians frustrated and exhausted. Kryn's communication channels were flooded with reports. "Impossible," he muttered. "They should be overwhelmed. They should be broken." And then it happened. Humans executed a maneuver that stunned everyone watching: the smiling wall. Hundreds of human ships moved in a perfectly coordinated formation, creating an almost unbreakable shield around their smaller craft and the planet below. Xiphorian weapons fired again and again, but the human formation absorbed every attack without breaking. Captain Alara smiled as she observed the result. "Unity protects all," she said softly. "We are stronger together than any weapon they have." Xiphorian commanders tried new tactics, splitting forces, flanking, overwhelming with numbers, but humans anticipated every move. Their fleet acted as one, each ship supporting another. The battle turned from confrontation to lesson in strength. Humans were showing the Xiphorians that true power is not measured in weapons or fleets, but in courage, unity, and hope. Hours passed. Xiphorian forces, exhausted and demoralized, began to retreat. Kryn's bridge was silent. Every officer knew the truth. The humans had won. They had survived the largest fleet the Empire had ever assembled. They had defended life, saved countless beings, and smiled in the face of overwhelming power. The humans did not pursue the retreating Xiphorians. They did not gloat. They did not fire the final blow. Instead, they repaired what they could on nearby stations, protected colonists, and prepared for the next challenge. And always, they smiled. Kryn stared at the stars where the human fleet had moved. He could not comprehend their strength. They had no arrogance, no hatred, no desire for conquest. And yet, they were stronger than any force he had faced, stronger than fear, stronger than weapons, stronger than the Empire itself in ways he could barely admit. Days later, a message came from the humans to the Xiphorian Council. We do not fight for dominance. We do not seek revenge. We fight to protect life, to preserve hope, and to inspire courage. If you choose to join us in this purpose, there is room for cooperation. If you choose otherwise, know that strength lies not in fear, but in courage, unity, and morality. The Xiphorians debated what to do next. Many feared the humans, not for their weapons, but for their example. Soldiers whispered about them on every ship. Humans who could smile even under fire. Humans who could inspire loyalty. Humans who could survive the impossible while remaining true to their values. Admiral Kryn realized the truth. The humans had changed the galaxy. They had demonstrated that power without morality was fragile. Fear alone could not control a species that trusted one another, that acted with courage, and that valued life over destruction. On the human flagship, Captain Ilara looked out at the galaxy. She knew the Xiphorians had retreated, but she also knew this was only the beginning of a longer journey. Her fleet had proven that humans were not only resilient, but capable of teaching the galaxy a new way to measure strength. And as the human crews prepared for their next mission, as colonies rebuilt and lives were saved, one truth shone clearly across the stars. Humans did not just survive, they inspired, they united, and they smiled, even when facing the impossible. And that was a power no one could ever destroy. The galaxy had met humanity, and humanity had smiled.